Greetings, everybody. I hope that you guys are good. We're now having a look at MTN, and as you guys know, we normally start off our analysis on the monthly chart. And in regards to the monthly chart of MTN, we can see that the market had given us this W structure. It's actually an overextended W structure because the first leg, which is over here, is much higher than that second leg, and this W structure also has a neckline more or less at that level. And another thing that we can see that is also very much important or interesting is that price had broken to the upside of that neckline and then went back to test the neckline. And you guys by now know that whenever we have these W structures, ideally we want to see price breaking to the upside of that neckline, coming back to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential buying opportunities. So similarly, at this point over here is where we should be indeed looking for potential buying opportunities. In fact, before we continue, I just want to add a neckline for that W structure, and just bear with me, guys, while I do so. Let's see, we could say more or less that this level over here is our neckline. And just a reminder that necklines are areas and not so much an actual line, right? Anyway, let's proceed. So what else do we see on this chart that we should be paying attention to? Let's have a look. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. Let's have a look. Another thing that I see that is also very much interesting is that on the smaller time frames, such as the weekly chart or the daily chart, we'll see that we actually have at this level an overextended W structure, or rather we could say it's an inverted head and shoulders pattern, where the first leg is over here, or rather the left shoulder is over here, the head is at this point, and the right shoulder is at this level, right? So I can tell you now that a lot of people, or rather a lot of traders and investors, bought at this point over here, as they were anticipating that the market will continue to push further up. The reason why I say so is because, number one, guys, remember we had this W structure with a neckline at that point, and I said to you guys that whenever price breaks to the upside of that neckline, we normally wait for it to come back to the neckline to test it, and at this point we then buy, right? That's number one. Another reason why I say a lot of people bought at this point, right, is that we also have this, as I've said, inverted head and shoulders pattern, right? And a lot of people actually buy on that second shoulder of that head and shoulders pattern. In this case, it's an inverted head and shoulders pattern because it's upside down. Nonetheless, let's continue, guys. Anyway, what else do we see, guys, on this chart? At this point, I don't see much. What I will do now is head down to the weekly chart. Just bear with me, guys. And here we are on the weekly chart. What do we see on the weekly chart? So can you guys see that the inverted head and shoulders pattern that I spoke about on the monthly chart is better visible at this point, which is the weekly chart? And here's the left shoulder, here's the head, and that's the right shoulder, right? And it also has a neckline more or less at that level, right? So it would look like this more or less, right? But remember that necklines, right, are also very important areas, in that, especially in this case, it's a very strong level of resistance. Hence we saw price at this point pushing further down, right? So what's probably happening at this stage is that because a lot of traders and investors actually trade head and shoulders patterns, right, and they put their stop losses just below, what may be happening is that the market may be pushing further down to grab the stop losses that are sitting at this point, and chances are once the market has done so, we will see price actually, move further up, right? So in my humble opinion, what I would do myself personally is, at this point in time, I would wait for the market to get to this level over here, right, which is where we have the neckline, guys, remember, of that W structure that we spoke about on the monthly chart. And just remember that this line is also a very strong level of support, as we've had multiple rejections at that level, right? So chances are that we might also see price come to this level only to bounce off of that level and then push further up, right? Or what may possibly also happen is that price may actually move further down to around this level to trigger all of those stop losses that I just spoke about, and then from there we might see the market push further up, right? In which case it would give us a very nice W structure. I hope you guys can see that. And I just also want to say to you guys that what I'm saying is speculation. I'm just showing you what it is that could possibly happen in regards to MTN, and I'm not necessarily saying that things will unravel in the way in which I'm describing. right? Just keep that in the back of your mind as you move forward, right? Anyway, let's continue. Another thing, guys, that I also want to point out, in fact, before we continue, I just want to add the neckline of this inverted head and shoulders pattern, because it's also very much important, and it's also the, or rather, a very strong level of resistance at this point in time. So we could say that the neckline of this inverted head and shoulders pattern is around that point. And just remember, guys, that necklines are areas. They are not an actual line, right? They are areas, right? So the reason why I've added this neckline, right, is also because, as much as I'm saying that the market may come to this level only to push further up, right? What may also possibly happen is that, because this is a very strong level of resistance, the market may come all the way to this point again, only to push further down, because it's a very strong level of resistance. And that's because we've had multiple rejections at that level, and in the future we might get another rejection at that point, right? So I hope what I'm saying, guys, makes sense. Anyway, let's proceed, guys. So another thing that I also wanted to show you guys is that we have this candlestick over here. It is a bullish candlestick with a relatively small body and quite a long upper wick. And what that tells us, guys, is that we have a lot of liquidity sitting at that point at the top where that candlestick starts or ends, depending on how you want to look at it. And liquidity, guys, remember, is money, and that money at one point or another needs to be grabbed by the market, right? So it is quite possible, as I've said, guys, that we might see price actually give us this very nice double structure, only to end at this point over here where it actually started. Can you guys see that, right? And just also remember that I'm just speculating. I'm not saying that things will unravel in the manner in which I've just described, right? Anyway, let's proceed, guys. So what else do we see? At this point, I don't see much. So in conclusion, guys, I would say at this point in time, I would not buy or sell. What I would do myself personally is wait for the market to reach around this block over here, and here is where I would look for potential buying opportunities. I'm not just gonna buy just by virtue of having the market reach this point. Once the market reaches that point, I'm gonna look for the reasons for why I should be buying at this point, right? Anyway, that is it in as far as my analysis of MTN goes. I hope it makes sense. If you have any further questions, just let me know in the relevant sections, and just remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and peace out.